Yo, yo.
Oh,
What's up, dude? All right, this is much better than that lighting over there at that desk. Holy moly.
okay. How you feeling, bro?
Dude, I'm good. I just got off of I've had like I don't know, I've had like 3 coaching calls today, so I'm in a teaching mood, dude.
Yo, yeah,
I've been talking shit all fucking day.
yeah. Yo, so what's up, Facebook? Today, the topic of this live presentation is how to attract healthy relationships with high quality women. And we got a special guest today. He's a dating coach, and he works with professionals, uh, tech professionals. What is it? Tech professionals.
Uh, Mostly tech, medicine, law guys. Those are like the main 3. I have a couple guys in finance too, but mostly like big corporate dudes.
Got you. And he helps
Yeah.
them attract healthy relationships with high quality women. So I think this is a very interesting topic. I believe y'all would get a lot of value. So my special guest today is Timothy Brazeal. Bro, can you give a little story on who you are and how you got into what you're doing?
Yeah, so um a little bit different than most of the dating coaches out there. Like, I feel like most guys that get in dating coaching, they were like, I don't know, kind of losers in high school, which I felt like that until like I was like 17. So I had a little bit of that, but not that bad. Like, I played sports and stuff, so I never was like that bad with girls. But around the time I was 18, I discovered like simple pickup on YouTube. And I think that was the moment where I realized you could actually like get girls on purpose. And I thought that was crazy. I was like, wait, I can just talk to girls and they can like me and I know why they like me. That's fucking insane. So I just went real hard at that for like I was that annoying pickup guy for like 2 years. Like from the age of like 18 to like 19 and a half until I got my first relationship that I was that guy like telling all their friends like, bro, I banged this chick, like showing pictures to my friends and stuff like that, just being really annoying. Um, and then I got into my first like long-term relationship, and that lasted like a couple years. And I realized that I don't know, I didn't spend enough time like actually learning how to date, because I was having all these regrets, like, oh fuck, what if and like my girlfriend was great too, but like I was like, what if I'm settling, all this stuff, and I like just wasn't confident that it was like the right decision to be in a relationship at the time. And so I kind of hopped on the whole like, yeah, bro, fuck monogamy. I'm just gonna be single. And so I broke up with her, and I started like dating a lot, like sleeping with a lot of girls again. Like went on like a massive rampage, and um, around like a year and a half later, so I was like around like 23. Um, I realized that like I didn't actually I was at the point where like I didn't actually care. Like I was actually blowing off girls at at the time, like towards the end, to like do other shit that I was like more passionate about. And I thought that, and that was like the first time I ever realized like fuck, maybe I want more than just like sex with girls. Um and then that kind of got me thinking about like being ready for like another relationship, stuff like that. Um and that basically that realization and then finding the girlfriend I have now, made me realize that like once you actually hit this like level of emotional security as a guy where you know that if your relationship ends that you could find another one. I think that like relationships are like the good end goal that you should be shooting for. um, and that kind of made me realize that around the time I was like 23, and then I just started teaching my friends, and eventually like I had a buddy that was like, yeah, you should just teach guys how to do this. um, and most of my friends in general were like more success minded guys, like super career driven, which is weird because I like dropped out of college and like was like addicted to video games and shit for like most of my early 20s. um, and so it's super weird, but like I always ended up being friends with like guys that are like nice guys that are like super corporate, like working like really nice 9 to 5 jobs, but they're like super nice and they don't really They like thought that the money would get them the girls, but now they're like 30 and they're like, the fuck am I doing? So I just started teaching guys like that, and then that just evolved into actually doing it for a living. But yeah, that's like my long-winded rant on how I got started.
Word. So I'm curious, bro. Like, what are like some of the challenges you found that are consistently coming up when you're working with guys? Like, what are some of the main challenges or problems that they're dealing with that feel like we should touch on and talk about that guys need to overcome?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like, especially with the guys that I work with, it's mostly realizing that it's okay to realize that you kind of suck. Like you're not that fun. Um, like a lot of guys I work with, they're like, yeah, I'm really interested in like reading books, or I'm really interested in like whatever video game, or like some guys, they're like, I just really like learning about finance. And they're like, yeah, but I can't talk about that with girls because, like they don't like that, whatever. It sounds really stereotypical to be like, no, it's like how you talk about it, but it really is. Um, the biggest thing is actually, let me back up. The biggest problem that all the guys I work with, biggest problem they have is they're worried about what they say and not how they talk to people. And that's the biggest problem. Because when you think about it, and anyone that's watching this, like, I'm sure you know this, if you remember any conversation that you had with someone that was like very, very fun and productive, and you got a lot out of it, you don't really remember the topics you talked about. You just remember like how the conversation went. You remember the emotions you felt during the conversation. You don't really remember like, oh yeah, and then we talked about like how he went to this college, and then he did this, and then I told him that I did that. Like you don't remember that stuff. You just remember the energy of the conversation. And that's like the biggest thing. Like especially guys that are more like successful, and they made their money and stuff like that, and they like went through school and like they work 9 to 5s. They're super like logical thinking, and so it's really hard for them to realize that it doesn't actually matter what you talk about. Like understanding like an energy, like it's a really hard concept to like try to teach a lot of these guys. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I notice.
Yeah, now I feel that, bro. Actually, somebody hit me up today, and he was telling me, yeah, man, I want to learn how to get better with women and stuff. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what's how to be sweet with the words or whatever, right? And I was kind of telling him like, yo, it's not really what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, who's saying it, the energy coming across, the emotion, the frame, you know what I mean? All those things. Like even if you look at like pimps, like they say pimps are good with their word talk, right? But if the pimp has no confidence and he's looking down and you know what I mean, and he's insecure, it doesn't matter how sweet his words are, it's not gonna come across, it's not gonna have no impact, right? It's not gonna have no influence. So kind of getting people to understand like, yeah, it's an energy, it's a vibe, it's everything, it's the whole package, and then that's what creates the feeling that comes across in your communication. So I feel you 100%, bro. So what do you tell these guys when they come to you and they're like, yeah, man, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do, or like, how do you help them?
Yeah. So the biggest problem that all these guys have is when you're thinking about what to say, you're not actually talking to the person. You're like talking just at someone. And that's something that will really like it'll really mess you up in your conversations, in your interactions. So what I tell them to do is instead of worrying about what to say, just ask questions that go deeper. And because you don't always want to be like the question guy. Like that's not how you want to be forever. But when you're learning how to interact with people and like have fun conversations, it's a lot easier to just be like, oh, what do you mean by that? Someone tells you what they do, like instead of going, oh, what's your favorite sport, or do you live around here? like instead of asking wide questions, you ask deeper questions. And at the very least, it's a lot more likable when you do that because people really like talking about themselves, and it'll just get you a lot more experience in conversations in general. And that's experience and spending enough time getting the hours in conversations. That's what gets you good. It's not like tactics or like any strategy. The only thing that gets you good is just being in conversations with people for like hours.
Or so like one thing you mentioned is like you said you followed simple pickup.
Mm-hmm.
So like how long was that process? Because once you learned once you heard about simple pickup, you say you went out, you started doing it. How long did it take for you to actually get good, right? Like how long was that period of time?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you mean by good. Like, this is actually something, if you're just learning how to, like, either learn online dating or you're just learning how to, like, approach girls, like, in public, then the biggest thing to focus on is not how good you are. The biggest thing to focus on is, like, what's the smallest win you can get that pushes you a little bit further. So, like, the first thing that I tried to do whenever I was going out, it was literally like I would go to the mall and I would just try not to have the person like hate me. You know, like I literally would just say hi, and as long as I said hi, like that's good. And then once I got to the point where I could say hi without like wanting to shoot myself, you know, because I was so nervous, I started going, all right, now I need to say hi and maybe get her to stay and have like a platonic conversation for like 2 minutes. You know, and once I got there, it's like, okay, so I'm pretty good at that. Now I can, and you know, obviously if something goes further, yeah, get her number, try to take her on a date, whatever. But you should really be worried about like the smallest win that you haven't gotten yet. So like, what's the next step that I should take? I want to get to where I'm really good at getting that next step, and then I can worry about the next one. Because a lot of these guys are out here like, dude, how can I approach that girl? I don't even know where we're gonna go on like our third date. I'm like, dude, that's not a problem you have yet. You don't have any of these problems, so you're stuck worrying about them. It doesn't make sense.
Hey, when did you get to a point where you felt like, okay, now I know how to like get women, right? This is no longer a problem. Like
Mm-hmm.
what happened or what was the breakthrough or what did you overcome it where you just was like, yeah, I'm here now. I'm at a good place where I can start teaching this stuff.
Okay, yeah. So the moment I knew, well, honestly, I never really knew I could start teaching this stuff until because there's a difference between teaching, like you know this, like there's a difference between teaching and actually doing it.
Yeah.
But once I started getting my friends' results and like they started getting on dates with girls that they like that's when I knew I could start teaching stuff. But once I knew that I was good, it was probably like I took a coaching program by Todd V when I was like 21, and I was like, you know, if I'd go out and like I could like get girls' numbers and like go on dates, maybe get like 2 or 3 dates a week from like just girls I talked to like at the club or whatever. But when it got to the point where like there was one week, like halfway through Todd's program, where I went out one week and they'll have you like record, they'll have you like record audio of you like approaching, and then they'll like tell you what to do better. Um, And so we were on that call, and I was talking to this girl that like she was like one of the most beautiful girls that like I've ever seen in my life, and we were breaking down the audio, and it was like 2 minutes in, and he was like, "Dude, your game is sick up to this point. It fell apart because you could have like gone to the bar, like gone done something else. But, like I was just stuck there trying to like make her like me, um, and it was like that for whatever reason he said that, and like a switch flipped, and for the next like 4 or 5 nights I went out, I pulled, and then pretty much every night I go out, or every night I had gone out, I haven't gone out in a while because of COVID, but every night I had gone out after that, I would either get a date or I would go home with a girl or I'd meet a girl that I would see for a while. It was like almost every night. And so like like that one moment kind of like flipped the switch, and I was like, oh, okay, so like I get it now. So now, at that point, I was like, all right, well, I'm at a point where no matter what happens, I know I can find a relationship that is good for me. So I wasn't like as like insecure about entering one, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So one thing I'm curious about, bro, is your tagline, right? Like you said, you help men attract quality or healthy relationships with high quality women. So can you kind of like tell us what you mean by that and how and what that's all about?
Yeah. So um, the main thing is healthy relationships. So the reason that a lot of guys have this idea that you have to like constantly be doing things to keep the girl invested and keep her chasing in the relationship, and you have to like constantly be putting in all of this work into the relationship, which is true to an extent. You do have to put work in, but a healthy relationship, what I define a healthy relationship as, is any relationship where no matter what problem comes up, both of you can talk about it and you can work through any problem in like in a productive way and move on. And so that can apply to like short-term relationships, like dating multiple girls, or longer-term relationships where you're like monogamous and dating one girl. Um, and that's the key to a healthy relationship. And then the high quality of women part, um, the way you do that is basically, I mean, it's basically just understanding your value. That comes from just experience. There are things obviously that guys do that make them more attractive to girls that are like that might have less options, but it makes them less attractive to girls that have more options, if that makes sense. So there are some of those things, but the main focus is just the healthy relationships, because I really do think that you can have, if you're good at screening out bad people from your life, you can have a healthy relationship with almost any girl, because girls are like very adaptive, and they'll follow your lead pretty much always. Depending on the dynamic of the relationship, but the girl will adapt to you. And so if you go in trying to build a healthy relationship, then you'll have one. And that's actually why, like, a lot of this like red pill stuff, and guys say like how like manipulative women are, and stuff like that. I kind of think that a lot of those, yeah, women probably do manipulate those guys, but it's because the guys are manipulating back. I think that's like that's the main thing. Um, so really, the way you establish a healthy relationship is by leading in a strong way, and obviously like not putting up with anything that you don't accept in your life, like compromising any of your values, stuff like that. You're not going to put up with any manipulative.
Yeah, go ahead. Like a call on my phone, so I try to end it real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, I just I just finished, so it's all good.
Word, word. Okay, cool, bro. So when these guys come to you and they're like, yeah, man, I want to attract a healthy relationship with a high quality woman. Like, do you tell them to go in a cold approach, or do you kind of help them interact with the women they already have around, or do you get them on dating apps, or is it a combination of a bunch of things? Or how do you, like, let's say he's in scarcity, right? Like, how do you get things going?
Yeah, so usually, so the reason I like working with the guys I work with is, they don't care about, and I would actually recommend this for most guys. Like, if you're going to get a coach, like, don't spend your last little amounts of money on on a coach, because ideally when you go into a coaching program, you have some money to like do a photo shoot and pay someone to edit your photos, like maybe, you know, pay for like Tinder premium or whatever. So like that's just that's one reason I like working with these guys, because usually I start them out and they have enough money to where if their clothes suck, I can be like, all right, dude, you need to get some clothes that fit you. You need to get a photographer. You can do it for free, but it's a lot easier if you just pay someone. Get a photo shoot done, optimize like an online dating profile. I'll like write their bio and stuff for them, or I'll help them do that. So it's like customized to them, but like still gets the main points across. And then that usually takes about a week. Then once they start getting matches, which is like all testing, then I'll have them throughout their day like start doing cold approach. So it's mostly a mix of cold approach and online dating. Right now, just because of COVID, like unless they're in a place that's not very locked down, it's mostly online. But if you know if everything is open where you're at, cold approach is definitely the way to go. And the reason for that is because you just get to, it's not as like high percentage as like waiting for a girl to like naturally come into your life. It's not as high percentage for like success, but uh, the type of girl that you can talk to, like just approaching normally, is can be as specific as you want. So if you only want to talk to high-powered business women that work in like financial firms, uh, that make like a lot of money, and you know you have very similar values, then you can go somewhere where that type of woman hangs out, and you can actually talk to girls like that like consistently. And if you rely on online, then maybe that girl's not using the app, so you have to wait for her to use the app. And if you go to bars, then like that kind of girl you're just never going to meet because that she's not going out. So cold approach is like definitely the, when you're really good at it, it's the best way to meet women. But until you're good, or until, because also cold approach you have to put in the time too. So if you don't have a lot of time, then online dating is the way to go. And if you have a lot of time and you're not like insanely good at cold approach, you should do both, in my opinion.
How, how do you help dudes like with, or what's your thoughts on approach anxiety?
Okay, so approach anxiety, there's a couple things. So the first thing I tell guys is, um, it's okay to have it and it never goes away. And it'll never, you'll never be like totally chill talking to a girl always. Like, yeah, there might be some times where you like, it feels really natural and you don't feel that anxious about it. Um, but what'll happen over time is the anxiety will turn into excitement. Because like our brains, like it's really hard for us to tell the difference between anxiety and excitement. Like I've seen a few studies like basically saying that they're pretty much interchangeable, except anxiety is an emotion that feels a little bit more uncomfortable, basically. So they're very similar. So you can do a couple of things to like mitigate it. So you can trick your brain and tell yourself, no, I'm really excited to see this girl. I'm really excited to talk to her. That's a really good thing to do. And then also just not giving yourself time to think, because we're constantly in a state of survival. We always want to survive and not look stupid. So if you see a cute girl, if I saw a cute girl 5 feet from me right now, the easiest thing for me to do to not look stupid would be to not talk to her. But if I don't give myself time to think and I say hi, the best thing I can do to not look stupid is to talk to her. I have to, or else I look real dumb. Like I just said hi and then I walked away. I look really stupid then. So out of self-preservation, like my brain, it'll come up with something to say. Like I have to, or else I look really dumb. So there's like a couple like tricks you can play on yourself, um, to get over approach anxiety. But at the end of the day, I tell guys like make sure you're always doing better than you did last time. So even if you miss that girl and you're never going to see her again, like, don't beat yourself up about it too much. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, guys beat themselves up way too much and they expect to be perfect. But, like, let's be honest, we went, at least a lot of us, we went like 20 plus years without ever talking to a girl randomly before. So why would it be easy to do it all the time now? It's going to be really hard. So just like accepting that's going to suck and then just trying to do a little bit better each time.
Word, word, word. Yeah, I agree with you, bro. Taking like a gradual approach to it. Like for me, I don't know how you started, but for me, I had to start by saying hello to old ladies and stuff.
Yeah.
I had to start, as far as like being consistent, because like you say, you have some days where you feel good. You know what I mean? You're in a good vibe, whatever. You could probably go up to any girl, but you're not always gonna feel like that. And so, but if you want to like build yourself up to a point where you can pull it out when you need to, right? Like you do have that part of you that you can kind of get in that state where you're like, okay, nah, this girl is attractive. Like I gotta go and say hello, right? Like you can get to a point where you can pull it out, and you're able to do it when necessary. But you're gonna have some times where you're not necessarily in the mood or you're not in a social mood or maybe you was doing business all day or whatever. So I really agree with the gradual process, like building up a foundation of references, of you just saying hello, of you just being social, of you just being, a kind of guy that can talk to a stranger. You know what I mean? Like talking to strangers is actually not, like that's commendable. Like if you can go up to a stranger and have a decent conversation, like a lot of people can't even do that. So, now we're talking about approaching a girl you find attractive. Like, of course that's gonna be, pretty difficult. So yeah, like that's something that I teach guys too, is like taking a gradual approach, just going up, maybe just asking for the time a couple times, like just going up to different girls. Hey, do you know what time it is, or you know where the directions is to so and so thing? And then the key is to be consistent, right? Like be consistent. If you can commit to like a 30-day challenge or whatever, you don't want to just be doing it randomly because it's like sporadic. You're not really gonna build up that confidence. But if you could be consistent with it, you'll start building these references and you'll start to see, okay, it's not that big of a deal. Like I can walk up to somebody and say hello and I can have conversations. You're gonna have rejections, you're gonna have successes, and you just see that, it's just life, you know what I mean? Like some girls is gonna rock with your vibe, some girls are not gonna rock with your vibe, but you wanna, like you say, you want to attract the healthy, healthy relationships. You want to attract the right people to you, but you have to get to a place where you're confident, where you're able to like walk up to people and express yourself genuinely and not be judgmental or be resisting what could happen. Something great could happen, or anything could happen. But if you're resisting the whole time and you have like shields up and putting on a facade and all these different things that we have developed, over the years, it's like you're gonna have a hard time connecting with women. So I feel like a lot of it is breaking those limiting beliefs, cutting off those parts of you that are not really you. So the real you can come out and then you can attract the right people. So all right, bro. So what else should we touch on? Anything, any like new concepts, anything new you working on or researching, or anything, that you've, maybe you said you had a couple calls today, anything came up interesting to talk about or bring up?
Mhm. Yeah, there's actually a couple things. So the first one I want to talk about is like what makes you attractive and like how complex it is. Because I feel like guys don't appreciate this enough. What makes you attractive as a man is like it's so much more complex, and I think that a lot of guys, which it's not even true that like what we find in attractive in women is like only looks. Like I actually think that I hold like a lot of things above looks. It's obviously like a big factor for us, but like guys try to reduce what women find attractive way too much. Like, and you see this with like all the guys that are like, oh, it's just money. Oh, it's just looks. Oh, it's just like how smooth you are. Um, and like they'll go even further. They're like, they only like tall guys. They only like um, skinny guys. They only like guys that have a lot of muscle. And whenever you make these excuses, it's always something that you don't have. So like for me, like I'm really tall and like kind of lanky. And so my excuse would be, oh, they only like guys that are like jacked and like exactly 6'1". I'm taller than 6'1". Like I'm too tall. I'm like lanky and awkward and weird looking. Like that was my excuse back in the day. And it's like attraction is so complex. And I am, you said like researching, like I'm looking into how I can like build a model for attraction. But it's probably going to take like a few months to put together because there's so many factors. Like there's like how old you are, which is like how much potential you have. There's how much, there is like how much money you have, what you look like your physique, your like social standing with other people, like social proof, your actual game, like how smooth you are, how friendly you are, your values, like all of these things that have to like match up with a girl. And then guys are out here being like, oh, yeah, I saw a study where girls like guys with wide jaws. So that means that I can't get any girls. Like, dude, it's so complicated. Like being attractive is so complex and no one talks about that because it's because they want to sell their course or they want to sell like whatever the fuck they want to sell. Um, and I don't know, making it that simplistic. It's like clearly people are just doing it to make money, but it does really annoy me. I'm like, dude, this shit's so hard. Like I've been doing this for like not even that long, like 6 years, and I'm like pretty good at it. I understand it well, but not at a level where like I fully understand it, you know. And then these guys that started learning about this stuff 6 months ago, they're like, "Yeah, bro, see the truth. Like it's all about looks." I'm like, all right, dude. Like, what? It's yeah, that kind of shit. It blows me away. Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like complexity of being attractive.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there's like a lot of different there's dating coaches and pickup artists and different people who came up with their own models. And I see I see the value in different models. Like for example, the mystery method, mystery talks about survival values, right? And that makes sense,
Mm,
right? And then you got right now I picked up I don't know if you know Richard Laruina or something like that. But his thing he focuses on status, right? So like basically demonstrating the qualities of a high status man. So that makes sense too. And then you got some guys who just tell you just looks max. And then you got some guys, right? And I think really as a man you should probably just do as much as you can to just be as attractive as you
yeah.
can. A lot of what I think it is really is your character. I think there's just certain girls out there that are going for a certain type of guy, and I guess the way how you have like different archetypes, but the way how you stand out is by making yourself unique, right? That's kind of what I teach guys to do. Is like the kind of girl that you want, she's probably going for a certain archetype or certain types of guys that she's attracted to, and it's like you're competing against those guys. So the only thing you can do, there's always going to be a better looking guy, a taller guy, a smarter guy, this guy. So the only way you can sort of create your own lane is just make yourself unique, right? Like max out your look at your strengths, max out your strengths so that they overshadow your weaknesses. And if you could bring up your weaknesses, bring those up too. Just
Mhm.
you just strive to be the best version of yourself, right? So that's to me, that's a lot of what I teach. It's like a lot of it is working on your confidence. Like get into a place where you feel good, like you feel good as you are, like you feel good in your own skin, right? You feel comfortable in your own skin. You know your value. You know who you are. Um, you understand your character. A lot of it is like finding your purpose in life too, like finding what you should be doing in life, like what makes you happy, what makes you feel good. So then when you get around women, it's you get around them with a different energy, like as opposed to the guy that's just trying to get laid or the guy that's just like, man, I would love to have, that'd be so amazing. It's a different vibe from the guy that's already just doing what he loves to do, and then he gets around a woman and he's like passionate about what he does, and he, that, and she feels the energy, and it's almost like he could say anything because she just feels good around him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But now that's cool that you're actually working on creating your own attraction model. That's because one of the things I want to do like is I want to innovate in the field as well. So I like that you're going that route. It's like, now let me see how what I can bring to the industry. Let me look at these different things and see if I can come up with something that will benefit others. So I think that's cool, and that's something I want to explore as well. Is like how can we get closer to the truth? Because I think it's like it's kind of like religion. There's all these different religions, and then with
Yeah.
all these different ideas of how it works. So it's just an interesting topic. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. No, it totally is. I guess I guess the last thing we can talk about is we could talk about guys that just think that this stuff doesn't work, because that's actually a really common thing. Is like guys think that, yeah, just like dating's not for me. Like you see it especially with online dating. It's like these guys have these like shitty mirror selfies with like disgusting stains on the mirror, and like that they're wearing like an oversized t-shirt. Like they're wearing like this shirt I'm wearing right now to like work in. They're like wearing that in all their dating profile photos. And they're like, yeah, bro, like online dating, it just doesn't work, dude. It's all like ugly girls or like whatever the fuck excuse they come up with. And um, the question I want to ask those guys is like, what else are you gonna do? What's the alternative? You either get better at this shit or what? You like die alone and you don't even try. Like I think that's crazy. Like what are your thoughts on like the guys that just like they just give up basically?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is like basically got to be willing to, because okay, if you look at your situation right now, you're not in the condition that you want to be in regards to your dating life. That clearly means something has to change, right? And
Mm.
also means you're probably gonna have to do something different, which also means you're probably gonna have to get out your comfort zone. And it's not like you have to get out your comfort zone one time, two times. Like if you want to get consistent results and change your condition in life, you're gonna have to consistently get out your comfort zone. And I think until someone really makes that decision, like, yo, I'm willing to go through that. Like I'm basically willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to listen to some ideas that maybe I don't want to hear, or maybe that I don't really vibe with right now. But the shit I'm doing right now ain't working. I gotta, look at that and see maybe that might be what I need to do, or at least try it before I say it don't work. So I know me when I learned about pickup and stuff, I was doubting it. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know if you could really just go out there and just approach some girls and get them or whatever. But like you said, like what else are you gonna do if you're conditioned, you're not getting the results you want? It's either you just gonna sit and just not get the results, or you're gonna do something about it. Like that's really what it comes down to. Or your situation might even get worse, if you don't do anything.
Mhm.
So I came to that understanding, like, yo, I'm not trying to live and just be miserable. You know what I mean? Like I got to a point where, I was in and out of the pickup stuff, and like I started focusing on money, because I didn't really want to go in, because I realized you got to keep going out your comfort zone, and I was like, man, I ain't trying to like keep getting rejected or whatever it was, right? So
Mhm.
I would like focus my attention on money and different things just to avoid the fact that I wasn't facing the issue, which was my dating life, and really was I had like some internal limiting beliefs and blockages that I needed to face, and pickup allows you to face it, right? Because like when you go and approach a girl, you're very vulnerable, right? And she's going to actually she's gonna bring out your insecurities, and you're gonna have to face them, and you're gonna have to either decide, am I gonna do something about it, or am I gonna just accept it, or even run away from it? And you know, I guess it just depends on the person. They have to make that decision. Like, am I gonna face this and overcome the challenge, or am I just gonna say, you know what? And that's the real thing they need to address. Like instead of like saying, oh no, it doesn't work, or oh I'm not tall enough, or oh no, there's a way for you to overcome your challenges. It may mean you need to bring out your personality more. It may mean you need to work on some other traits about yourself, or maybe you need to figure out what is your value. Like, what is it that you could bring to a girl or a guy's anyone's life that will make their life better, right? Because to me, you know, attractive guy is basically somebody who benefits. He benefits the woman that's attracted to him, but he's probably benefiting other people too. Like, there's some qualities that he has that's beneficial to others. If it wasn't beneficial to others, there wouldn't be any attraction. Like, if there was nothing there of value, then it's like, why would I be why would she be attracted to that person or whatever? There's something there. So it's like, as a guy, you got to figure out why would a woman be into me? Like, why should she choose me over whatever, the other millions of guys that are on the planet? Like, so you kind of have to just get real with yourself. And I think a lot of guys, they don't want to do that, or maybe they're um, maybe their limiting beliefs are clouding the way they're seeing things. They need somebody to kind of shake them up so they can kind of see, like, yo, you're like living in a delusion, bro. Like, that's not what's going on. So I don't know, guys just have to get to that point where they say enough is enough. I think some guys are just not at that point yet. Like, you have to get to a point where you're like, yo, enough is enough, bro. I got to do something. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely true. Like, guys have to be ready to make the change that'll like get them to where they want to go. I think the big thing that we can do, and just like anyone that watches this later, like the big thing that if you're struggling and you're not sure if this whole dating thing is for you, or like if it's something you can actually improve at, like the biggest thing that you need to take away is that you don't really have another choice. And it's also, it's totally okay to like accept that you suck. Like, we all had to do that. Like, I know you had to do that, and I definitely had to do it. Like, I didn't go through this thing like learning, this whole learning process. It's not, oh yeah, I'm doing the exact right thing all the time. Like, honestly, while you're learning this stuff, you're gonna have no fucking idea what you're doing. Like, you have no clue. And you're just stumbling through it, trying to get better every single day. And there's no like true path to figure this stuff out. And it's okay that there's not. Like, you just need to accept that you're gonna have to figure it out somehow. And if you're looking at your life, and like, if your life was a movie and you were the main character and you were watching the movie, like, would you be happy with what your character is doing right now? Like, probably not, if you're not in a good spot in your life. And so that's the thing that, like, I think most guys need to take away is like, maybe now isn't the time to learn this stuff, but at some point, if you want the results that you're dreaming about, then you need to do something.
Yeah, bro. I think we'll just leave it on that note, bro. I appreciate you coming on and giving us some value and helping these guys out. And yeah, man. So I guess we can probably possibly set up maybe a part two or something, go into some different topics at some point. But I appreciate you coming on, and thank y'all for watching. Peace.
Yep. Later, man.